What's up, everyone? Kevin Allen here from DFS Army, and it is NFL Week 4, and we're taking a look at Prize Picks. Going to give you a bunch of my favorite props of the week, and we'll take a look at how we did last week. Stick around. All right, we're coming off a pretty nice week last week where, let's see here, past entries. Here we go. We hit a bunch of our plays from NFL Week 3. Chris Olave and Curtis Samuel. We had some nice overs for both of those. Curtis Samuel was my most confident play. I bet it on Sportsbook, bet it everywhere. A couple of our correlation plays didn't necessarily work, but we paired everything with Curtis Samuel, so made our money back on this 3-pick entry. Hit 2 of 3 there, another 2 of 3 here. You know, a couple of things I tried last week that obviously didn't actually hit were pairing up quarterbacks with their wide receivers for the correlation. I still think that's a great approach for PrizePicks, but hey, didn't work in these, but we still got our money back. Had a nice little winning week, and I've got a bunch more big plays for you for PrizePicks this week. Plays I feel really confident about, plays that we are on the plus EV side of. I'm going to show you why, and I'm going to show you a tool that I use to come up with these. But of course, if you aren't signed up at PrizePicks, we've got the deal for you. You can go check it out with promo code DFS Army. It'll give you a deposit match up to $100. So definitely check it out if you haven't tried that already. Now, here's my primary approach to coming up with plays for PrizePicks. I'm using a 3-pronged approach where, number one, I want to compare the PrizePicks line to the consensus odds on the sportsbook. And the prime reason I'm doing that is because I want to skew the EV in our favor, right? So these sportsbook odds are at least giving you some idea of what the betting market thinks of these props. So when there's a prop, let's say of Clyde Edwards-Helaire right here and a PrizePicks line of 3, then we could take the sportsbook consensus prop and say, oh, wow, people are betting under at minus 3.5 at 3.5 for minus 195. So 2-to-1 odds they're giving on the under. But because the consensus is a little bit higher than the PP line, and we're looking at an under, you know, what would that minus 195 be if the number was 3.0? So when they don't line up, you have to reduce a little bit of the juice here. But when they do line up, and I'm going to show you a spot that I love, and particularly because it does line up, KJ Osborne over on receptions. Very simple. I'm looking at 3 factors here. Number 1 is the PrizePicks line. Number 2 is the consensus odds on the sports books, which is the same as the PrizePicks line. So right now, bettors are paying minus 135 to bet the over 2.5 receptions for KJ Osborne. Now, the final factor that I use in order to make a PrizePicks determination is I take a look at the DFS Army projection model, which shows that KJ Osborne is projected for, you know, almost 4 receptions in this game, 3+ receptions in this game. You know, pair that with the fact that I already like this game and I already really like the Minnesota side and the passing game for the Vikings. So all of that together puts me on my first play of the day. KJ Osborne over receptions. Over 2.5 receptions more. Boom. Put that in there and move on. All right. Another play that I'm taking a look at, and it's one of my favorite, might actually be my favorite on the slate. Romeo Doubs over 3.5 receptions. And once again, I'm just going to go over. Well, it just moved. Great. Let's see if it's still there. Well, there he is. He's back. So let's take a look at this and understand what we're looking at. So the DFS Army projection has Doubs looking at 5.19 targets this week. So that's already significantly high enough over the 4.0 that it gives us a reason to consider it. The betting odds are betting over 3.5 receptions, minus 160. if we take a look at Dubs, we'll see that the volume has generally, or at least was there for him last week. He had some volume also in week 1. There's a bunch of injuries at the wide receiver position for the Packers right now. Sammy Watkins done for the season. It's just a good chance that Romeo is going to do enough to pay off on this over 4.5 for us. And more importantly, again, there's inherent value in the bet because on the sports book, it's sitting at minus 163.5. It'd probably be like minus 135, minus 140 if it was over 4. But that's enough. We want to skew the odds in our favor. It's hard enough to get these props right. I mean, they're generally 50-50 propositions, but if we could find the ones that PrizePicks essentially misprices, it gives us better chances of making our money back and actually making some money on the slate. All right, next up, one of my favorites, and this one isn't as skewed. It's a little bit. It's Cooper Kupp over 8 receptions. And basically, Cooper Kupp has 2 outcomes, but more often than not, he is getting you more than 8 receptions in a game. The first 2 games of the season, well into the double digits. And that's basically what I'm expecting from Cooper Kupp most weeks. 8 is a big number to cover, but on the sports book, it's currently sitting at 7.5. And it's minus 145 to the over, meaning 8.0 it'd probably be about minus 130. Skews the odds in our favor just a little bit. So we're no longer on a 50-50 proposition. We're on more of a 60-40 proposition. Good enough for me in this format. I will take the over on Cooper Kupp. Put that in there. Now, one thing I'm going to do just for Kupp more, one thing I'm going to do just for tracking purposes, put that bad boy in. Playing it. All right. Next up, one of my favorite plays on the slate. I'm going to look if I can find him here. Let's see. But one of my favorite plays on the slate. Here we go. TJ Hawkinson over 4 receptions. Now, if you take a look at the Hawkinson prop at the moment, I like betting this on the sports book as well because the over 4.5 is sitting at 105. If we were just betting the over 4, so if this was brought down, it'd probably be at like minus 115, maybe minus 120. But the thing I like about it is with Amon-Ra St. Brown out, my prediction is that some of that volume will go to Hawkinson. A normal game for Hawkinson is 3 or 4 receptions. So with the Sun God out, we can play Hawkinson and have fair confidence. Again, he hasn't had a great season. Let's just take a look at his game logs here, but he hasn't had the best season. But, the 4 has been in reach most weeks. He hasn't crossed it. But Amon-Ra out really favors Hawkinson. So I think we've seen the floor from him, and the floor is 3 to 4 receptions, and hopefully he'll pop for us here this week. Let's get a little Hawkinson action going. Over 4 reception. I think any of these are probably okay. I'd probably stick with maybe the receptions or even the receiving yards. I'd be fine with that one too. Doesn't really make much of a difference to me. All right, we've got Kupp, Dobbs. Okay, here we go. We got a couple more for you. Rushing yards. Let's take a look at Derrick Henry and the over 73.5 rushing yards line. So basically, the way Titans games always seem to go, either the Titans are kind of in a close game, in which case they lean heavily on Henry, or they just get blown out and they have to stop playing him. So let's take a look at Henry's game logs over the first 3 games of the season, see how this played out. So in the absolute beating they got by Buffalo, where they never had a chance, Henry became an afterthought, right? And only got 25 yards, only 13 carries. But in the 2 games which were competitive, where the Titans were in the game for the whole time, even against the Giants when Henry didn't get much going. In both games, he easily passed the 72-yard number. So essentially, for Henry to pay off on this prop, he just needs to have the kind of a game where his team doesn't get blown out and they continue to lean on him. It's hard for him not to get 73 yards in a game when they're using him. So I wish this included receiving yards because, wow, you see those receptions last week? Interesting. I can't count on him doing it again, but it'd be nice to combo that prop. But the DFS Army projection model agrees. If we take a look here, we've got him projected for 84.58 yards in this game. And there's a little bit of juice to the over on the sportsbook. Everything is pointing to this Derrick Henry play. So let's dial it up. Dial it up. Oh, rushing and receiving yards, 86.5. You know something? I think I'm going to bang that one instead. I'll take the risk on the 13.5 yards to get the benefit of even one big receiving play, which could completely get us where we need to go. So I'm going to go Henry rushing receiving yards over 65. I've got two more plays. I'm going to put them up on the screen. We're going to knock them out. So, we're sticking. Listen, who wants to bet unders? I don't know. These are what stood out. We're sticking with overs. What are you going to do? All right. Another one I like a lot here too. Reception over. So let's find the receptions. Where are we? All right. So two more that really stood out for me. One was Drake London over 4.5 receptions. Here we go. And basically, this one is just, once again, the formula that I look for in all of these, combined with just games that I'm targeting, especially on the overs, games that I'm targeting for additional offense. So I already like this Atlanta game. A lot of people like it. It looks like it can go high scoring. It's one of the higher scoring projected totals on the slate. But if we take a look at the projection models, number one, the sports books, again, the sports bettors are betting the over 4.5 receptions for Drake London. And that's the key number for us. We're skewing the odds. Again, we're not going to win all of these. And this is really important. Do the flex plays, right? Or mix and match these. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket or build around just one unless there's a super confident play. Maybe some of those early ones are probably pretty confident with Cooper Kupp, for example, or Hawkinson over. Those are probably my two most confident plays. But do twos and threes in combination. You don't want to put all these together because they will definitely not all hit. Again, we're taking 50-50 odds chances. We're applying a little bit of knowledge of the game. We're applying a little bit of skew at the sports books. They're not actually necessarily 50. So we're attacking ones that aren't necessarily correctly 50-50 propositions. But even when, 260, even if you put yourself in 70% chance to be right, if you do that 3 times, one of those times is going to be wrong. So on average. So you got to be really, really careful about these parlays and not making them too giant, or at least reducing the amount of money that you do as the parlay gets bigger. Focus the funds on the 2 or 3 person if you use the flex. I like the 2s. I don't even like the flex. I like the 2 person ones. All right. Where was I? Drake London. Yeah, the sportsbook is at -130. We've got him projected for 5.4, and I like the game. Nothing not to like here about Drake London. He is getting over 30% of the targets. They don't throw a lot, but I think there's a chance that this week Mariota throws a couple more times. Hey, you never know. You never know. Here we go, Drake London. And our last pick for the slate, Brandon Cooks. And basically the same exact situation as Drake London. Brandon Cooks, where is he? There we go. Brandon Cooks, the sportsbook has it over 5.5 receptions. Brandon Cooks is the alpha wide receiver in his team's offense. Their opponent is really, really banged up. We've got him projected for 6.5, so almost a solid full reception above what this prop is. So we've got all of the key factors in our plays, plus a game that, while I'm not intensely looking to target this game, I'm definitely not running away from it. So Brandon Cooks over 5.5 receptions. There we go. All right, guys, that's going to do it for PrizePicks NFL Week 4 top plays. If you want to have access to this tool, if you want to crush PrizePicks on the daily, get signed up at DFS Army. The tool is there. I love it. This makes it so much easier for all the prop games, but especially PrizePicks, where the best part about PrizePicks is really the fact that they cap their own lines. They're originating the lines. They're not just essentially stealing them from sports books all the time, meaning we could find these discrepancies using these tools that we have at DFS Army. So if you want to check it out, of course, get signed up at DFS Army. Use promo code Geek. You can get 10% off VIP. It gives you access to our PrizePicks, our prop tools, our projection models, of course, the optimizer, and all the other great DFS stuff that we do over at DFS Army. Good luck this week, everyone. I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.